welcome. Now, to get a few things out of the way before I unfortunately indulge myself into something that's very monstrous, to me at least, something that will scar many of you, I suppose, I want to make a few things clear as previously stated. First thing is, I will not be calling myself Fright Matinee anymore. I dropped that name in favor of my real name, Dennis Sema, to make things a little bit more easier and to kind of get away from that little gimmick, because I do not want this channel to be solely invested in horror, as it will be, kind of branching out to science fiction and video games and whatnot. I did review some classic horror and science fiction films and even a video game, but from now on, it will be consistent film reviews of horrible films and great films, and the heavy emphasis on horror will remain, so that is not changing. The second thing I want to also say, besides my channel name change, is there will be tons of videos being posted every single week, or at least that's my goal, especially as time goes on. Video game reviews, analyses of films, like little video essays, I guess you can say, and yeah, things like that. Very ambitious plans I have, and you'll also see a lot of short films of mine, usually horror, homemade horror movies that will be posted throughout 2018, which is what I'm hoping for. But today, as I said before, with the audience being scarred, hopefully not, I really don't want to lose my little demographic, even though it's quite little at the moment, like 2 people, which is fine, you know. But, do you ever walk into a video store, or kind of archaic now, unfortunately, but do you ever whatever. Do you ever walk into a video store or go on Amazon or eBay, then find, you know, these things, 50 movie packs? This one's a classic 50 movie features of horror classics. And there are some great movies in here, don't get me wrong. Like Nosferatu, 1922, classic film. Night of the Living Dead, my favorite horror movie, by the way. But there is one film in particular I consider the worst movie of all time. No. I actually really like that movie. I love Ed Wood to begin with. But we'll get to that another time. God forbid, no. That movie I will steer away from, and I really want everyone to steer away from that movie, because why the hell would you want to torture yourself with Man of the Hands of Fate? No. The film that I will be going forward here, or will essentially review, is The Beast of Yucca Flats. Yes, The Beast of Yucca Flats. The film actually opens up with a semi-naked woman seen through a POV shot of some sort when someone large grabs and strangles her. I actually find it pretty unsettling to an extent, yet it literally has absolutely nothing to do with the rest of the film to begin with, so why even bother? And just to clarify, there actually is supposedly a copy of the film which shows the woman who eventually gets strangled and obviously molested, nude, completely nude, just naked, absolutely naked. And don't ask me why I know that, because, well, it was just a little search, that's all. I mean, that's... Anyways, before going any further, I might as well talk about something significant regarding this film. See, director Coleman Francis didn't bother to spend money on sound equipment, and he consequently had to narrate literally every single thing the characters did in the film to begin with. It gets more irritating as the film unfolds. This is also said to be one of Tor Johnson's, if not Tor Johnson's, last film to begin with. He had already been in multiple horror films such as Bride of the Monster and Plan 9 from Outer Space, both directed by Ed Wood, which we'll talk about later, definitely. Johnson was a wrestler all his life, and admittedly, a better wrestler than actor. A very interesting piece of horror history nonetheless. Where was I? Oh yeah, this damn movie. After the strangling and creepily obvious molestation, we come to find out a defecting Soviet scientist is running off with some secrets. He is chased by some KGB agents, it seems, and a car chase later ensues. After a minor gunfight, the defecting scientist comes face to face with an atomic bomb test which turns him into a deranged monster. This is probably one of the worst and most pathetic monsters in film history, but it's not like I haven't seen worse. After the nuke test, a family is seen driving down the road when eventually 2 of the boys essentially wander off and are eventually chased by Jaworski, or Tor Johnson's cottage cheese jizz-looking face, which by the way is terrifying in its own right. A sizable portion of this film involves the mutant thing of a creature chasing the boys around with a large stick of some sort, and just going around and killing people for really no reason at all, I suppose, but oh well, monster movie standards, I guess. Also, if you think those strings of scenes are horrible, watch this. So basically, some poorly written characters think the guy running is Javorsky, which makes so much sense, of course, and they continuously miss the shot. Eventually, the police soon find out and wound the horribly battered Tor Johnson monster, and it eventually succumbs to its wounds. Afterwards, and this is something that really, truly baffles me, a drac rabbit nuzzles up against him and he perishes. Apparently, this scene wasn't even intended, it just happened, and it's actually kind of interesting. And how fitting, because this was actually Tor Johnson's swan song. This was his last film he ever appeared in. Understandable. I mean, I would definitely not show up in any other productions after appearing in such monstrosity, or at least depending on the person, but for me, definitely, yeah. So Tor was in the right state of mind. Stay away from this film, but, yeah, I'm probably not going to stress that enough throughout this review. But at the same time, here are my thoughts, here are my actual thoughts. As previously stated as well, this is the worst movie I've ever seen. Like I said, I can't even pretend, I can't even exaggerate. It's even the cheapest films right now that come from independent filmmaking, even from Hollywood to an extent. And independent filmmaking is great, by the way, but even the cheapest films utilize some sound design. Some. And let's say you have a movie about a serial killer, right? Maybe Sam Berkowitz, maybe, I don't know, one of those guys. And you can barely make out what the serial killer is saying. He's going around murdering people, and at a red light district somewhere, he's like, "Oh, I'm going to kill all of you." Oh. And then it just like fades out mid-sentence. There is still audio visible. You can listen and hear what he's saying for the most part. Beast of Yucca Flats has none of this. Only a little bit of actual speaking and dialogue, which is just pathetic. Yeah, Coleman Francis was definitely not in the right state of mind here, but oh well. This film also made it to an episode of Mystery Science Theater 3000, which goes to show how awful this movie was. But in all honesty, there is something about it which I feel so horrible about, and that's Tor Johnson himself. Now look, I love horrible films. I grew up with them and I watch them constantly, even today. But to see Tor Johnson being used all of his life and the only sense of success he ever got was from wrestling and the interesting and great Edward D. Wood Jr. makes me develop a sense of sympathy for the poor fellow. But to tell you the truth, stay away from this movie. Seriously. I mean, just stay away. Even if your life depended on it. I don't know why it would, but just say hypothetically you were in a situation where the Beast of Yucca Flats, someone says, "Oh, watch this horrible movie, suffer some brain damage." By the way, I didn't, thankfully, but maybe when I'm 40 or 45, you'll probably see some trauma that I gained while watching these movies, or really any movie in this set. But to tell you the truth, respect Tor Johnson, I guess, because he was pretty. You could tell he's been through some horrible experiences throughout his career. But don't watch the film, but respect the lead star. Yeah, that's basically it. Beast of Yucca Flats. It's only 53 minutes as well. Isn't the rule, in order for a film to be feature length, it has to be over 45 minutes or something? That's what I read before. But yeah, 53 minutes. That's, wow. I mean, even movies like Teenagers from Outer Space are like 1 hour and 20 minutes. But yeah, there you go, Beast of Yucca Flats. Next time we'll be doing something a little more ghostly and something more good. Definitely a lot better than this. But yeah, peace out.